All right, so this one says, which function is increasing and has a domain of 1 to infinity? So let's unpack this a little bit. I noticed that all of these are the common log, and that means they're a transformation of the common log function, right? So we've got to think of the parent function first, and then we are going to transform that and determine what the domain is. So if I have an xy plane, right, and I want to graph, we'll call it g of x, we'll say that g of x is equal to the common log, this is log base 10 of x. Well, I know that it's going to look like this. It's going to kind of look like that. Now, it never crosses 0, but the domain for this thing is from 0 to infinity. But they want the domain of g of x to go from 1 to positive infinity, and it also has to increase. So increasing means that it has to be a positive log function. If I look at this function, log of x, g of x here, as I go from left to right, it's increasing. My y value is increasing, okay? So if I put a negative sign in the front of it, that's going to flip about the x-axis. So by placing a negative sign, it's going to look like this, and that's decreasing. So all these transformations that have a negative sign in front of them, those won't work. Now we got to look at, so it's either B or D. Interesting. So it's either B or D. So we got to look at this. What does it mean to have a domain of 1? Well, if I want to have a domain of 1, that means that I need to take the parent function log of x and shift it over 1, right? So this is going to shift it to the right 2 units to the right. So this is going to have a domain of 2 to infinity, so that's not it. This is going to shift it over to the right 1 unit. Now that up or down doesn't matter. Obviously, this is going to shift it 2 units up, but D is our answer in this case. Now one of the things that's interesting is that I copied and pasted this question. In other words, the notes are going to say D, but it scrambles the answer. So when you go to do this work on online, you got to make sure that it's the right equation. I can't tell you how many students get it wrong because it scrambles the answers, and they go, "Oh, it's D," and they don't go any further than that. It might be B, it might be C. So you got to really look at the equations and the answers that they give you and make sure that it's shifting 1 unit to the right and 2 units up. And you got to make sure that it doesn't have this negative sign in front, okay? So be mindful of that. Kids will come to me and they'll say, I put D. No, you got to put log of base 10 of the quantity x minus 1 plus 2. That's what you have to put, which might be A, it might be B, it might be C.